In this video, we're going to look at publishing and using restore points. We will look at how we can publish all permissions at the same time, but also how we can publish a single login or a single permission set if necessary. The restore points can be compared or manually created and saved for the future. We're going to take a look at that one, and also how we actually can reverse changes based on a restore point and the limitations for that one. I'm in the Easy Security company. I have Easy Security completely installed in here, and I haven't really done anything in here, but we have, as you work in Easy Security, you can change login, you can change permission set, groups, anything you want in here. Nothing is going to change immediately in the production system. So what you normally will do is you actually go to a publisher permission, and that will push the changes to your production system at that time. So as I do a publish of permission, it will go through a calculation, and in this case I haven't really done anything, so there's not going to be a lot of things to see for this in here. But there is one important part, and that's that is recalculating everything in here. As I do that one, if you had done a source code analysis and new table relations were added, those ones would be added to the permission sets at this calculation. Expiry is going to be calculated and many other things. Before it changes anything, it will create a restore point, both from eSecurity but also from the live system in here. And it will then go at the end, do a final test, and the actual writing is only going to write the few records that are actually changed in here. So in this case, as soon as you get to the writing point, it will basically be done because I have 0 records to be changed in here. As I did this publish, I created a restore point in here also. And if I look on the archive here, I can see my restore points. And we have a lot of restore points. One thing is that you can have restore points from a live site or from the Easy Security. Everything we do during a normal publish is always through restore points. So you always be able to see what happened and how to backtrack it in here. And of course I can go to my latest restore point in here and say, okay, let's look at the data. I can look at users, permission set, companies in here. We can also store the objects, not the actual code, but the object record with date, time, modify, and things like that one in there. So we can also look at that one in here. I want to do a few changes in here because I want to be able to see something. So what I'm going to do is just add some permissions to one of the users. And I'll just do a fast change to John here. And I could also go and actually make a change to a group, for example. So I have a permission group in here. I have the sales group. And for some reason, I also want people to actually edit items. So I'll add the permission set for inventory item bomb edit down here. So I'm adding that ability in one of the groups in here. I now done a change that would be hard to know what users actually is affected by it. So I really want to go do a full publish now to push those permissions out in the system in here. So as I now do a publish, it will do the same calculation, recalculate all the things, and then it will push out the data to the live system in here. Again, this one is changing all users and is changing all permission sets. And as I do this writing of a restore point to live in here, I will see there was a few records probably that I needed to write in here. As I did before, I can go to restore points and I can see there's a different number of records in here. And of course this one was right before I did any changes, so I can always create a new one. And just create a snapshot of my live system. So this one would actually be after that I did the publishing here. And I can see I got the extra 36 records in here. I could go manually look at them, but we can also do a compare of restore points. So I want to compare the data. I want to look at the users and the access control they have. I want to compare restore point number 25 with the one right before that would be 24 in here. And as I run this compare, everything that is coming from the old version 24 will be grayed out. Everything that is new is bold in here. So I can see for my user John, I got a lot of extra user access controls in here. I can jump to an exchange. But I actually also changed Susan, and that's because I added something in my group in here. So that's where it can be hard to get an overview of that one. So doing the full publish will actually allow you to do that one. I can see Simon got the same one, and that was actually all my changes. We can reduce the amount of extra records in here by only showing the include in log, and now only showing the few records that really are different in here. This one, of course, can be pushed to Excel if I want to in here, and actually get all the function, all these records, copy paste them into Excel and make additional editing on them in here. These restore points, we normally keep a certain number of them, so they're going to over time disappear in here. We can actually go in here and say I want to lock this one, and then this one would never be removed in the future actually automatically. So I can always use this one to go back in time and compare these ones in here. So far I've done a complete publish in here, and it means that all the permission for every user, everything got done in here. Let's say I just needed to actually give John temporarily just super data in one company, for example. I can actually go into John and say I'm not going to add a group, but I'm going to give him the super data in one of my companies in here, Kronos North America. And this one clearly don't affect anybody else than John actually. It could also be that I have changed the group and I wanted to check out with one user first. I could go do this one in here. So instead of publishing everybody, I will publish only John in here. And I will have him calculated before I do that one, so I get the new permissions in here. So it will still do the restore points, and it will actually allow me to roll back or do all the other features that we do with the restore points in here. But it do quite a lot of limited calculation in here, so it will only or it will take a lot less time, and it will only update one single login. I can of course also go here on the list and select multiple ones if I want to in here, so I can update a few of the logins in here. Everything for user expiry date and things like that one will be calculated by the update function as I do it in here. Another thing that is pretty common is that, hey, I have this permission set in here and I need to correct it. Something is wrong with it in here. Let's say that we were using this customer edit down here, for example, sales receivable customer edit. And I actually want to correct that one with the recording that is delivered with Easy Security, for example. I have a customer edit recording in here, and I can add this one to the permission set in here. So if I refresh in here, I'll see that I now have my one recording in here. I could update it and I'll see that I got a lot more permissions in here. This one clearly again only affect this permission set and not anything on a wider base out there. So again, I can publish the selected to live, and in this case I only selected one. I want to update it, so I calculate the latest version before I actually publish, and then it will do the tests, it will do the restore points, and then it will basically write the changes out there. This one is again a very simple way of changing a single permission set without affecting a larger change that you may be working on right this time actually in here. Again, only one permission set were actually updated in here. So you can update a single login by publishing. You can update a single permission set by publishing. As you get to changing groups and things like that one, it can be more complex, and you probably want to do the complete publishing here. If I go look at my restore points in here, I can see, of course, I have updated a single permission set, and I have actually updated John also in here. This restore point is right before I actually did anything in here. So if I went in and looked at my users, I would look at John and the access controls. I can see I don't have the super in here. If I wanted to roll back this restore point, I actually have to show some fields in here first. So first I have to select what I actually want to roll back in here, and we can roll back either the permission sets, the permissions, the user access controls, and that's the 3 tables. We cannot roll back anything else, and you can only roll back this under the condition that the objects are the same, the users are the same, the companies are the same. So if you have added a new company or added a new user, you cannot roll back this permission set in here. But let's just add this these 3 fields in here. And I can now go in and say, for this restore point, I want to be able to create my user access controls in here. And it warns you this one should normally be done with publishing, but I can actually go in here and write my restore back to live in here. And again, it wants to have all the values set in here, so I need to actually do the other things at the same time in here. So it's not like you can pick and choose. It basically rolls back the permission. The main point for this one is that you do a publish, people can't work any longer, there's all kinds of issues. You can see in this case it took like 5 seconds to roll back the permissions, and then you can go figure out what was wrong with the permission. That's the main purpose of the rolling back of permissions in here. It's not the fact that you can go roll back to something that was 3 weeks old, for example. The last thing I want to talk about in here is actually the ability to publish permissions in here. Right now, I can go here and publish permission and it all works fine in here. There is this function get new data. If I create a new user, if I create a new company, or I create or change objects, I would have to actually get the new data because it's essential for the calculation. So let me go here to my designer, and I'll just switch to a license that have access to create a new report, for example. I now added a new report to the system in here. If I try to do the publish, during the testing, it will come up and say that the data don't match, and it mentioned that, hey, this report does not match the other report. At that point, I'll have to use the get new data from live. Basically pulls in the current live data, and it will be used for easy security for calculations. The reason it's important is that we create all this object level security and many other things. and we need to know the exact objects that are in the database. The reason we just don't read the objects from the database is we actually also want to be able to use this company in a totally different relation maybe. So we could actually do a backup of the company only and import it in a different settings in here. So I got the new data in here. I can now run the publish without a problem, because now the latest list of objects is also going to be used for the calculations in here. One thing about 2013 and later, the object list is actually going to be different depending if the object is compiled or not, or if it's synchronized with the server. So that's one thing to be aware of, that you could have an object you save uncompiled, and now it's not being seen by the server as an active object any longer. But else I'm done here, and I'll be writing the restore point in here. So what I did, I actually rolled back some of the permissions in here. We have a way also to use the changelog in here. So if I actually went in here and looked at John, for example, we can actually look at the changelog entries for the access control. And if I go down to the bottom, I'll see down here that the super data was inserted, it was deleted, and then it was inserted again. So with the changelog, that is part of standard NAV and is hard-coded to work always for the security, it actually gives us a second ability to actually see when changes happen based on the publishing in here.